My name is Saskia, and this is my first time composting. I've read all the books, I've got all the supplies, and today I'm going to put it together. So the first thing you're going to want to think about is your bin, and the size is actually based on worm count. If you have a tough time with that math like I did, check the Posty Calc, it'll really help. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're using clear material, you're going to have to keep it out of direct sunlight. Next we've got the drill, and this is super straightforward. You're just going to want a standard drill with either a 1/2 or 1/4 inch drill bit, and honestly, best investment of my life. Then we have the bedding, and the deal here is you want to avoid anything glossy, waxy, or overly dyed like a magazine would be off limits. Followed by our spray bottle, and any old cleaner here will do. You just want to make sure you rinse it out to get rid of any toxins, and then if you're using tap water, just be sure to let it sit for 24 hours to get rid of the chlorine. So next we have our soil, and ideally you want to be using finished compost. Obviously I don't have that because I'm a beginner, so I just grabbed some regular garden soil from the park, between like 1 to 2 cups. Next we have worms, and I just went with Uncle Jim's because they had great reviews, and the biggest thing here is that you want to keep them in a cool, dry place between like 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, these scraps, and these need to be frozen, thawed, and drained prior to use, or you can microwave them just to kill any potential pest eggs that might be in there. And remember, the smaller the scraps, the faster the worms can go through them. Mine probably should have been a bit smaller. So now we actually get to do something, and that's drilling. So what you're going to want to do is go around the circumference of your bin and drill holes about 1 to 2 inches apart. And as you can tell, I was struggling a little bit. I had to borrow an old drill, but I recommend a slow and steady mentality to get through this. So this whole process only took about 10 minutes. It'd probably be even faster if you have a better working drill. But as you can see, there are holes all around the top and the sides of the bin to allow airflow and oxygen for your worms. So now we're moving on to bedding, and you're actually going to want double the volume of your bin, and I'm going to do an Instagram moment here and snap shredded. So you're going to want double the volume because when you moisten it, it's going to shrink down really, really quickly. And there's 2 schools of thought on how you can moisten the bedding. You can either soak it and drain it so that it feels like a wrung out sponge, or you can spritz it. And from what I had read, it's really easy to overdo it, so I'm just spritzing it to make sure I don't add too much liquid to my bin. But again, you're going to want to go saturate everything until you get that feel of a wrung out sponge. Your hand might start cramping a little bit, it's a lot. So once we finish spraying, we're going to go back to the soil. And what this does is it provides fibers for the worms, it helps them with their digestion, kind of like Activia, and you're just going to go around and sprinkle the entire contents of the bin. So then you're going to want to take your remaining bedding and you're going to put it on top of the wet bedding, or the moist bedding. We don't want it wet. And what this does is it's going to regulate your moisture levels. It should be about 1/3 of the bedding, but don't get too caught up on math. You really just want a layer of dry bedding on top. So finally, the moment everyone's been waiting for, the worms, they are here. Mine got here a couple days early. I panicked. I put them in a pie tin, poked some air holes. I think they're okay. But what we're going to want to do is bury them. So we're going to go in a corner, pull back the bedding till you can see the bottom, and dump them in. There's 2 schools of thought. You can put them on top and let them dig their way down, which creates air holes. I read about this way first, so I'm trying it. If you do the other one, let me know. Would love to hear your thoughts. And then last but not least, the scraps. We're going to feed them. I definitely should have made mine a little bit smaller. I didn't realize how important that was. Use a food processor, use a blender, but you want to put them down close to the worms. Make sure you freeze thawed, all that good stuff. And you're going to bury them close to the worms so that they don't have to travel far at all. Then you're going to replace your bedding. And we're like just about done, you guys. We're going to put the lid on, seal it, and I think that's a compost. Are you excited? Because I'm super, super excited. Congrats, guys. We did it. Let's stash that. So I used a clear bin. That means I need to find a cool, dark place, aka under my kitchen sink. And if you look at that, it fits perfectly. So some final reminders, you're going to want to check your bin in a couple days. If there's condensation on top, that means it's too wet, so add some more dry bedding. You also want to check the food. If it's rotting, you've put too much in, so just pull some back. And other than that, you did it. We will see you next week. Or if you have any questions, go check us out at goposty.com.